thinking, could you now apply those side and mid to these? I mean, you have this
Yeah.
audio effect rack, and you want to create the side and the center again.
This is, I mean, the flexibility. There is no thing that you can do. The golden rule of Ableton Live, we can say, is drag and drop. What I can do, I can take, again, audio effect rack, put it into the chain. So chain within the rack can contain additional rack. So we can have rack in the rack, in the rack, in the rack, in the rack. So you can do whatever you want. So you can again have, for this mid chain here, you can have, I don't know, 10 different chains. Okay? One more thing I wanted to show you, look, for composing. So this is the effect rack. Additionally, we have also the instrument rack. So let's see, I will go with the simpler. So this is simple sampler. Kick, let's say I will open again empty project. Like this. One kick, for example. So, let me create a MIDI clip. Okay. Let's say one basic 4/4 beat. Okay. Now what I can do, right click on this device, group to drum rack, meaning this will become a drum rack. Okay, and from there on, I have again multiple chains. All right, so I can. Are you familiar with the layering? What is layering? So combining multiple samples in order to get one final sample. Additional thing, look, it is like this. Let's say I will put, let's go again with the instrument rack. I will put this, whatever, inside. I will open the chains, and I will say this will be my low kick. I will duplicate those chains. I will say mid portion of a kick, and let's say high portion of the kicks. Okay, so at the moment everything is the same. So we can see that everything is in red since 3 chains are playing equal sound. But what I can do now, I can say in this chain, one more thing prior to it, I forgot about something, is again I will create a separation. So I will go under audio effects. I can again use, for example, EQ3 in each chain. Like this. I will put it prior, come on. I have again only low, mid, high. So what I can do, for example, on a high now, I will create this redux. I really love it. So like this, a bit of this downsampling. Sorry, like this. But I don't like the mid portion of this kick. Okay. So I will click this hot swap button, and I will change it with some other kick, for example. So immediately kick 9 will be placed. Again, I made some mistake. For that reason, the EQ3 was deleted, but really not important. So what I have kick 707 for a low, kick 909, completely different story for the mid, and for the high, again 707, but emphasized with effect a bit. So a bit different. Right? Additionally, what you can do, those EQs, so we actually created with 3 different kicks, with 3 different chains, we created one kick. What we will do, we will use this multi-band dynamics. And again, here I will only put low, solo the low. Here, on this multiband dynamics, I will solo only the mid portion, and here I will solo only the high. So again we have the kick, but let me open also this one. So these are known as the macro controls. What are the macro controls? For example, it is a single control which can affect multiple parameters at one time. Meaning, I will go into the low kick, for example. Let me squeeze this a bit, like this. So simply by double clicking, you can squeeze it, hide it, unhide it. Alright? And I will say this low frequency, so crossover frequency between low, mid, and high, I will assign to macro 1. So assign, right click, map to macro 1. I will do the same for all others. Assign to macro 1, and also high kick, assign to macro 1. I can rename it by clicking Command R, I don't know, low cross. I can even select it, right click, add a color to it. Okay? I will do the same for the high frequency, map to macro 2, map to macro 2, and map to macro 2. Alright? So mid-high crossover, and this will be the green one. So as I will change this here, you can see that it is changing here, and this green dot, basically, this green square indicates that something is mapped to macro. Alright? So on all those chains, this macro will affect those parameters, meaning I'm changing 3 parameters with only single macro parameter. So what I can do now is, so I can listen to it, and I can change the crossover, therefore the behavior between those different chains. So a bit more bass, and so on and so on. Or smaller amount of bass. I'm simply switching the crossover frequency where low frequencies will be ended, for example, where mid frequencies will start, and also where high frequencies will start. So I'm switching between those 3 chains. Was this too advanced? So simply look, by applying multiple chains within those racks, you can combine. You can I don't know, you can create 27 chains, and you can create kick larger than 1. Okay? So let's, I don't know, let's distort this mid frequency a bit. Let's use a bit of a saturator. Like this, I will put it in a chain. So and so on, and so on, and
so now you can record this and make a sample.
now what you can do, even better thing, what you can do, you can create another track. I will again open those I/O settings, audio from instrument rack, or I can simply put this audio to, or audio, whatever. I will leave it like this, and I will say audio from instrument track, record it, I will mute it, I don't want to preview it while recording, and there she goes. Additionally, what I can do, even better thing, is right click on the MIDI track, freeze the track. Freeze the track is a function when you have problems with overloading your CPU. Therefore, we will have, I don't know, some MIDI instrument with 13 plugins in a serial chain, and this will consume your CPU. So when you will hit freeze track, you can change still the pen parameters, you can change the volume parameters, you can send something out and so on. You can change the routing where the signal will go, but you cannot tweak anything. Meaning the actual audio signal is present now on the disk, and the application will read it from the disk. And of course you will have less CPU consumption, because you cannot of course tweak anything. But what you can do, now this is freezed. But if I will click it, hold it, and drag it onto audio track, this freeze track will be immediately transferred into the audio track. Okay? So let's do it like this, for example, and then I can unfreeze this track back. And now I have the very same kick we did.